Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's January 18th, 2022. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined as always by our managing editor, Matt Shodell, as we discuss the news of the day. And a lot to talk about today, so let's get right to it. And Matt, really, it's a buildup that's taking place right now for a couple things this week. A is what I believe will be Mario Cristobal's coordinator hires that I know we've been saying this for a while now, could come any day. And he keeps pushing it back and pushing it back. But with the Elite Prospect Day coming up this weekend on Saturday at the U, you got to believe that Mario is going to want his coordinators in place for that. So I'm expecting an announcement, really at any time here in the next couple days as to who is going to be the coordinators for Miami, whether it's going to be somebody from the NFL or somebody from the college ranks. And I wouldn't assume anything either way, Matt, because the conventional wisdom is to think, okay, well, Mario's been waiting, and that means he's waiting for somebody in the National Football League. And there have been several candidates in the National Football League, no question about it. However, he also could have been waiting to make sure that he considered everybody that deserved to be considered. And with so much movement going on right now in the coaching ranks, both in college and in the NFL, there really hasn't been a rush to make a decision, even though the Canes Nation is very anxious for these hires. There really has not been a rush to make those decisions. And I think until now, I think with so many prospects coming onto campus on Saturday, that it would be nice to have those coordinators in place by then. You agree or disagree?
Yeah, it would be nice. But again, like we talked about this the other day, I firmly believe that there's pluses and minuses to this. The minus being, obviously, there is not a home run hire that he's come to terms with. If there was, it would already have been done. So just common sense wise, it just looks from the outside like he hasn't found the person he wants. And if he does have the person he wants, it's in the NFL ranks, like you said. But at the same time, it is a little concerning because of the timing of it, and you have to wait until after the early signing period. We thought this was going to be done a week ago. It's never great when you're hearing it's going to get done, and it doesn't, because it's a red flag, and it's not great. With that said, kudos to Mario for not wanting the appearance to be like he had a home run, got his guy from the first second. This is who we always wanted. We got him right away. We're on the ball. We're on the same page, blah, blah, blah. Good for Mario to not care about the optics of it, because you got to get the right guy. This is not a one-year hire. This is potentially a 3 to 6, 7-year hire. Obviously these guys don't last that long, but it's a multi-year hire. You have to get it right. If Mario is going to get this train rolling in the right direction, you can't whiff on your coordinators. I also don't think, and I think Mario knows this too, they had visitors on campus this weekend. They had 2 transfers already visit. They've had, I think, 6 prospects who will either be signing in February or will be enrolling early that took visits with no coordinators. And guess what? They loved it. They were blown away. What matters to these kids, yes, the system matters, but Mario already knows what kind of system they're going to run. They're not running a 3 yards and a cloud of dust offense. They're not reinventing a defense. They're going to be an attacking style defense. So really what matters to these recruits is their position coach, the head coach, and the players on the team. And he can display all those just fine without coordinators. The biggest thing to me is you have to have the coordinators in place to really get things going for spring ball. They have to have a plan. You can't just hire the coordinators even 2 weeks before spring ball. They have to evaluate all the talent on the roster.
Spring ball? We're still
correct.
We're still in January. What are you talking about?
Spring ball 2 months away.
You don't think he's going to have coordinators in place by March? Are you
you can't wait until even 2 weeks before March. You need. Listen, to me, the most important thing is what I'm trying to say, Gary, is you don't hire him for recruiting. You hire him for spring ball. That's the deadline. Like, I'm trying to show you a deadline. Yeah. You're making fun of it. That's the deadline is what I'm trying to tell you.
He's going to have coordinators in place.
The deadline is well in advance of the start of spring ball, so they can not only evaluate the talent, figure out the plan, get the players, the playbooks to look at well in advance of spring ball, so they're all on the same page, and then you hit the ground running for the first practice of spring ball, and you're off to the races. That's the deadline.
Too much, man. You're worrying too much. We're in the middle of January. You probably got 2 months before the start of spring ball.
Right.
I
feel tell you there's no urgent deadline like you're saying this week.
It doesn't bother me if he waits. Deadline. And he'll whatever urgent deadline anybody wants to set, he will far exceed that. And like, I'm not concerned. Look, I mean, the names that have come out: Kendall Briles, Doug Belk, Clint Hurt, all those guys to me are still there. Like, if he wants to hire those guys, he can hire any of them. Ken Dorsey's the one that's iffy. The word that we've gotten is Ken Dorsey doesn't want to come to college. He wants to stay in the NFL, and he's going to have opportunities in the NFL. But of the names that have been out there and have been learned, they're all still available. There's you said, and I agree, that maybe he doesn't feel that any of them are a grand slam home run, shut the process down totally, consideration. But like, they're all still there. So if he doesn't find somebody better that he likes, then he can go hire one of those guys, and I think he will. And I think it is. I'll be surprised personally if it doesn't happen this week.
You said that last week too. What I'm trying to say is, there's no. What I'm saying is, fans shouldn't worry if it doesn't happen this week. The only deadline is.
But I was wrong.
In advance of spring ball. That's all.
I was wrong last week. You know why? Because they didn't have a lot of visitors. Like, there was no urgency. They had a few offensive linemen in this past weekend that were being recruited by Mirabal.
These are 2023 to 2025 kids coming this weekend. There's still no urgency. You got to get the right fit. It's not like
agree, but with that many prospects coming to campus, I got to believe that they would want the coaching staff intact. So we'll see. Maybe I'm right. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not going to call it an emergency, but I got to think that he would like to have these two guys in place by the weekend. And at least by Saturday, or we'll see what happens. So, there's no certainties there. But anyway, there is this great buildup to Elite Prospect Day on Saturday, and that means a lot of kids are trying to get there, figure out their rides. The ones that are from outside South Florida, just how they're going to get to Coral Gables. And we have a story today on a 5-star kid by the name of Samuel Emba. He's a defensive linebacker from IMG Academy in Bradenton. He wants to come to Elite Prospect Day. He's trying to get transportation down. Probably a pretty good chance he'll eventually find it. But a really good-looking prospect. And we have a story about him on the website today. In other recruiting news, we've got a story on a 4-star offensive tackle from Orlando by the name of Peyton Kirkland. You can enjoy that. And we've also got a local linebacker from Miami Killian, who you've heard us talk about in the past, by the name of Bobby Washington, that's also looking forward to visiting Miami on Saturday. And we'll have more of these as the week goes on. A lot of players are looking to come to the U on Saturday for this Elite Prospect Day. I'm not going to quite say, Matt, that it's a paradise camp per se, but it's a big recruiting event that they've created here.
Well, Paradise Camp, the kids work out with the coaches. This is a junior day event. It's a great junior day event.
Junior day event. Yeah.
Yeah. This is going to be like the barbecue on steroids. Remember, COVID hit. Nobody could come on campus forever. And then all of a sudden, every top prospect showed up at that June barbecue for Manny Diaz, which didn't go great because, like we've talked about before, the coaches just really weren't talking to the kids that much. We were there watching. This is going to be that on steroids. The coaches are going to be all over these kids. This is a whole different staff, a whole different vibe. Everyone's coming. It's going to be great. I mean, it's definitely the event of the year so far for future recruiting. There's no doubt about it. It's a great way to kickstart the recruitment of 2023 to 2025 kids, really. And it's going to be a jam-packed. They better get all the actual students off campus to make room for all the recruits that want to come on campus on Saturday.
Yeah, so we'll have coverage all week on Elite Prospect Day. We'll obviously have blowout coverage over the weekend, but it's a big recruiting weekend for the Canes to start getting a leg up on the 2023 recruiting class, and a lot to look forward to there. All right, there's a few other things that we got to touch on today. We've had a story on the website for a little bit. We haven't talked about it yet on Good Morning CaneSport, so I'm going to bring it up now, and that is our analysis of the ACC conference. As it pertains to the talent level in each program. And Matt, in diving into this, I think we came to a pretty firm conclusion that this is right now really, I mean, a 3-team conference if you're going to evaluate it based on talent. Clemson still does have the best talent in the conference. And then Miami and North Carolina are both sitting there in the next plateau pretty much even with each other. And then you have a little bit of a drop off to Florida State, which might be the most underachieving program right now in the conference, quite frankly, which is why I think that primetime Deion Sanders will be the coach there a year from now. And when you look at the talent level of a program, say like Wake Forest, it just becomes absolutely stunning how they're able to be competitive in the Atlantic Division. And that tells you that that guy is probably one of the better coaches in the country that nobody thinks about, because that's a program that's greatly overachieving. But Matt, Miami plays Clemson this year, and no, man for man, Miami is still not going to be on the same level as the Tigers. But Clemson kind of came back to the pack a little bit in terms of performance last year. They've had some changes in their coaching staff. There's a lot of flux in that Clemson program. And I think Miami will have an opportunity to bridge that talent gap, even though they have to go on the road and play at Clemson. Your thoughts in general on the whole ACC study that's on the website right now?
Well, it's not an exact science, right? We just basically went off of how many 4 and 5 stars each program landed in the last 4 cycles. Then we looked at the same 4-year cycle of how many NFL first and second rounders came out of that program to try and just get sort of a snapshot of perceived talent going into the program, and then talent either being developed or just top talent that came in and wound up as top NFL talent. So it is interesting in that you do sort of, other than Wake Forest, get a sense this is really where these teams pretty much are. You know, Clemson's by far at the top, and then Miami and North Carolina are just pretty even. So it's almost like the way we decided to do the study reflects reality. We didn't go into it saying, hey, let's find out a way to make the teams that actually are good in the ACC at the top of the list. We blindly just came up with this. This is the best way to do it. We blindly went in and looked at all the numbers, and this is the way it came out. And it just came out almost like the standings over the last 4 years in the ACC, which is bizarre. And it makes me think maybe stars do matter. I always tell people, forget the stars. It doesn't matter. I get kids texting me, when am I getting my 4th star? We mentioned Bobby Washington. And it's either Bobby or Robbie's always texting me like, when am I getting another star? You know, and a bunch of kids do that. It's kind of funny. So stars, I guess, do matter, because in this study, they do matter. It seems that the better teams have had the 4 and 5 star kids. So, you know, who am I to argue with the stars, I guess? But yeah, I do see, obviously, Clemson has the advantage clearly in both these categories that I just mentioned. Miami's second, and there's no reason. At some point, there has to be a changing of the guard, right? So why not this year? New coach for Miami. I think that the young talent at Miami, I would argue, is as good as Clemson's young talent. And we'll just see what happens. I think it could be a very exciting year for Miami. If they can beat Clemson, either in the regular season or in the ACC championship game, that would be just, you know, that would be such a great sign for the future. And really,
I like Tyler Van Dyke. You know, their quarterback was the #1 rated recruit in the country. I like Tyler Van Dyke better from what I've seen so far.
Great.
You know, not that there's anything necessarily totally wrong with DJ over there at Clemson, but I think if Tyler Van Dyke can build on what he did the second half of last year, that he's just a better quarterback prospect right now, and that can go a long way in a game like that. So that's going to be interesting. That's something to look forward to in the fall. But right now we're analyzing the talent in the ACC, and I think the thing that's going to really stun some people is the disparity between Clemson and then Miami and North Carolina, and then the bulk of the other teams in the conference. I mean, it is not very good. And there is just no excuse for Miami to not be, you know, top 2 or 3 player in the ACC any season right now, when you look at the disparity in recruiting. And now with a better coaching staff, you hope, in place, it should be the time for the Hurricanes to start reaching their potential on the field as well. So check that out. It's a really good analysis of where the Canes stand from a talent perspective in the ACC. All right, another thing I want to talk about, Matt, is yesterday at lunchtime, we had the opportunity to do a show with John Ruiz and some really good guests talking about NIL, what John Ruiz is doing, where NIL is going, not just at Miami, but in college football. And if you have not had a chance to watch that yet, I strongly urge everybody to watch that show. It's enlightening, it's informative. And Matt, there's been so much debate about John Ruiz, and I've been struggling to wrap my hands around it. Like, where is the problem, including you? Like where is the problem? Here's a guy that I see just talking about and now executing, doing great things for people. Why are so many people attacking him? Why are so many people wary of him? Why are so many people busting his chops, to be quite blunt? I mean, every time you turn around, there's somebody else coming at him on Twitter or something like that, and he's having to defend himself. But I think you will agree, after watching this hour-and-a-half show that we did yesterday that included Drew Rosenhaus, it included Malky from First Round Management, it included Dan Lambert. I think you would agree that after watching it inspired you to reevaluate your thoughts on John Ruiz.
So here are my thoughts watching the Gary Ferman exclusive interview with John Ruiz and John Ruiz's friends. Aside from them probably solving world peace and ending world hunger and all the other stuff, my first thought watching the entire thing, all 48 hours of it, the whole My Pillow presentation by Gary Ferman.
Come on, man. I mean, it was long, but you can't tell me it wasn't good content.
If you're gonna keep interrupting, it's gonna be a 2 hours.
No, man, I'm taking that personally. That was an hour and a half of riveting conversation.
My first thought watching it, honestly, after I finished, was, thank God I have never been selected for a jury on one of John Ruiz's cases, because I think they would go on for months. When he talks, he's very eloquent, but man, does he talk.
He goes in detail.
Man, does he talk. Okay, so here are the facts that I gleaned from watching, and then we'll get into some more of this. The dude, to me, gave off some major Don Corleone vibes to me. He has an
Why? Because he said he's the part owner of Carbones? Like, come on, man.
The way he sat there and he looked like he had, I don't want to discuss weapons, but he looked like he probably had a weapon on his lap or on the wall or something. That's what I got. I got the vibe.
Oh, my God.
He has an unnatural obsession with prohibition and apparently Justin Bieber. I don't understand either of those.
No, that was his son that kept talking about Justin Bieber.
No, he mentioned Justin Bieber first. He has...
But it's a legit point. If Justin Bieber, as a teenager, has the right to go out and make money, why can't a high school kid who's a football player do the same thing?
Right, but out of everybody, he happened to pick Justin Bieber, which I thought was funny. He does have haters. This is what I gleaned. He does have hate, and then we'll get into my personal opinion. He does have haters, including people who have told me, and I've talked about it on here, that he hasn't paid debts in the past. I had someone tell me he didn't pay his groundskeepers, stuff like this, et cetera, et cetera. This is in the past, okay? This is what I have heard. Even during your show, the show's literally going on. I'm watching it. My phone lights up with a text from a 7-on-7 coach. And this is exactly what it reads, okay? I'm going to read it to you. It says, I give this Ruiz guy 3 years until he blows this thing up. I just hope he doesn't take Miami down with him. Okay? That's a 7-on-7 coach from here. And he's helping 7-on-7.
He described how careful he is about doing everything by the book, to the point where he now acknowledges that he can't talk about doing a deal with somebody that's still in high school.
Which brings me to my next point, okay?
So he clearly has studied up on everything.
This is the problem people are having. This is Good Morning CaneSport. We're both reporters, and people totally conflate when we talk as reporters versus when we talk with our own opinions. I've been talking about John Ruiz every single time to this point. Here's what I'm hearing. Here's what I think based on what I'm hearing, right? But personally, watching that, who wouldn't think the guy's legit? Why would he go to this extreme and promise all these things and do all these contracts for what purpose? I understand he's trying to promote.
To default on them? It makes no sense.
It makes no sense.
No, if he does default, it's open season on John Ruiz. No argument.
Right. So based on that, here's what was most encouraging to me as a person. Now, this is not a source. This is just my opinion. what was most encouraging to me and why I'm on the John Ruiz train wholeheartedly is because he did not lie in that interview about where the money is coming from and that he doesn't have it yet. Most of these fraud guys, I have to think, wouldn't even bring that up. He literally said he's got an FPL lawsuit that's pending that he hopes he'll get billions of dollars from, I guess, as a settlement. He said it's not done yet, right? If he was a fraud,
that doesn't mean he's struggling to pay his bills.
I agree, but he didn't have to bring that up. Who brings that up? That I don't have that money yet. I'm hoping to get it.
He might not have 28 billion, but I'm sure he's got a few million tucked away. I'm sure he can afford $300,000 of NIL deals or $400,000.
And then he also said, I think he said 30 days until he hears about some money for that device company or whatever. But people who are super shady, and listen, people tell me this guy's shady, but people who are super shady, would they really be saying, I don't have the money yet, I don't have the money yet, about whatever? I mean, he didn't say how much money he has. He just said, here's money I don't have yet, which I'm sure he's planning to use in these endeavors. There's no doubt about it. So he was honest about that. And you have to hope the guy's for real. Personally, it sounded to me from the interview that he's for real. I don't love the fact that agents are the ones that are vetting him on your show. But
think about it. He's like pouring money into their clients. He's making their jobs easy.
Correct. That's why
Rosenhaus and Malkai, they'll do interviews about John Ruiz every day.
Correct. It was like a John Ruiz love fest. I'd rather hear from his neighbor or some guy he did business with last year. That's what I'd rather have vetting him.
Have different perspectives.
But it's fine. A couple of super agents say this is the greatest guy in the world. Okay, whatever. But the guy was eloquent. He doesn't come across as a guy who doesn't know what he's doing. Could he wind up getting Miami in trouble inadvertently? Yes, as we saw with that ridiculous Shamar Stewart tweet he sent out and had to delete. But hopefully he sort of reins it in as this goes forward. I think maybe once his medical device company does whatever he hopes it does within a month or two, hopefully he'll settle down and stop trying to be so promotional out there and just be behind the scenes like a good billionaire and just sign the NIL deals quietly, get the 5 stars to Miami quietly, and we're good to go. That's what I think will happen. I'm very hopeful. I liked the guy from the interview. He seemed genuine. I could understand why you, Gary, say he seems like a nice guy. He does seem like a nice guy.
I've now done almost 3 hours of interviews with him.
He seems like his heart's in the right place.
The only weird genuine he seems.
Right. He does seem very genuine. His heart's in the right place. I still don't really understand his motivation. It's a little weird to me that he wants to turn these guys somehow into better human beings by promoting his services. I'm not quite sure where that goes.
I think what he's saying is, as part of the deal, you guys are going to have to learn about this stuff, and and we are going to teach you. We're going to teach you about business. We're going to teach you about fulfilling commitments and things like that, and that education is going to be part of your NIL deal, and you're going to have to participate in whatever programs or whatever we choose to add to the situation. And that's good, man, because it's like these kids, a lot of these kids right now, they think NIL means just give me money. And they need to learn, that out in the world, if you go in the NFL and you do endorsement deals and things like that, whoever you're doing these deals with is going to expect you to fulfill your end of the bargain. And they might as well learn that now in college. And even if it's as simple as sending out a few tweets a month, and filming some commercials that he talked about and things like that. I think it's great if he also includes, hey, you got to come sit with us and learn about accounting, or you got to learn about, public speaking, or,
we have so much time. And the other weird thing was he says he's not giving his money away. It has to be earned and hard work and this and that. These kids are supposed to have a tweet a week, I thought. I don't understand what this hard work, are they going to be I don't understand what that means, what the hard work's going to be. That was weird. He said some weird things in there, but I'm going to just, listen, here's the other thing.
What he's trying to say is I'm not just giving money away. I'm doing
Which is a good message. It's a good message.
These are legit marketing deals. I'm doing it by the book. And, he's at least, trying to play the process the way that I'm sure Miami compliance has explained to him that he has to do. And every contract is submitted to the compliance department and has to be approved by the universities for the players to partake. So, look, I mean, we don't know what the end result of all this is going to be. But I'm not going to sit here and poke holes in John Ruiz, who at least is saying the right things in terms of what he wants to do for people. I know he's involved in talks with the university about giving them a lot of money to improve facilities. In addition to, forget the stadium, I'm talking about a new athletic complex on campus, a massively expanded football complex. I mean, in 3 years or so, this university, from an athletic standpoint, could have an entirely different look to it. And John Ruiz figures to be a big part of that. And I think that until he gives people a reason to not support him, checks bounce, or he doesn't make payments to the players, things like that. Until something like that happens, if you're a Miami Hurricane fan, how can you not support this guy? He's the first guy other than Carol Sofer to come along ever. Well, no, because I'm not going to say ever, but to this level of support to really change the landscape at Miami and make Miami a major player in the country. And for that, he deserves to be embraced and applauded. And I hope that through the interview that we did yesterday for an hour and a half, that you got to listen to him speak to you guys and explain what he's thinking, what he's doing. And I think that if you watch the whole thing, you'll get some value out of it, just like Matt did. Matt readily admits that he sees this from a little different lens now himself. I'm about the same because I had already seen this when I sat down with him a few weeks ago. But I think it's worthwhile. And if you haven't watched the interview, I urge you to go on the website and watch it, or onto our YouTube channel and watch it, and see what your thoughts are. And post them on the message boards at CaneSport.com.
Well, I do want to add something, because listen,
you can.
People who watch this show, and maybe some of them don't understand, our job as reporters is to question things and not believe things just because people say them. That's our job. And Gary, you don't do that as much as I do, which is fine. You've been doing this a lot longer than I have, and you're probably
People
more trusting.
think I'm tough as hell, man.
Well, you're more trusting as a person than I am. But you did ask John Ruiz a very tough question about his finances, which is good. But
I don't poke holes until there's a reason to poke holes.
Right. Okay, but that's neither here nor there. My point is, there's a perception when I do question things. Of course, it sounds negative because you're questioning, this guy did this. Was it the right thing? And you have to immediately, as a reporter, think both sides. Was it right? Was it wrong? And you have to present both sides. And in your head, you have both sides. And as a reporter with John Ruiz, yes, my spidey sense is tingling. There are some warning signs, and maybe it's, I hate to use PTSD lightly, obviously, but like that Nevin Shapiro thing, a lot of Miami fans still have, like, it's not PTSD, I just can't think of a better word for it, but they have flashbacks to that guy who was supposed to have billions, was supposed to be giving all this money to Miami and this and that, and was donating, and I think he had his name on some major thing in the facilities, whatever, and then that happened. And I think that's jaded a lot of Miami fans. And as a reporter, of course, I remember that. I was covering that at the time. And so as a reporter, you go there, you think, okay, is this guy for real? And then all of a sudden people start telling me he's not for real. He's not. Here's a story about what he did 10 years ago. I heard, this is what, I don't want to give away my sources too much, but people who were sort of close to him, multiple people who were close to him, thought of him, when he had kids at UM. And it's not what you want to hear as a reporter. Gary and I, you can call us Miami fans, but technically we're not supposed to be fans. We're supposed to give you guys the news. Of course, we want Miami to do well. It's a lot more fun to cover a team that's doing well, and we want all you out there to be happy. But like yesterday, for instance, when I think it was the Henry Parrish thing or something else I said, like, my goal isn't for Miami to win a national championship next year. That's just me personally. This is not me as a reporter. This is me personally. That's not my goal because I don't think it's realistic personally. As a reporter, is it possible? Sure, it would be possible. Why not? You never know what's going to happen in football, but personally, I don't think it's going to happen. So therefore, I jump ahead as a person, not as a reporter, and I start looking at the numbers and saying, okay, we know we can kill 2023 as a recruiting class. We can kill 2024 as a recruiting class with these coaches. Why are they filling the roster with guys who'll be here for 2 or 3 years that maybe aren't going to be as good as guys they can get next year when it's a one-year fix, which is my issue with Henry Parrish. So people say, oh, you're so negative, negative Nelly.
Part of killing it in 23 and 24 is winning in 22.
Yeah, well, here's what's going to wind up happening. And there's no other choice to it. They could take these kids, like Henry Parrish could come in. he could be average, and they'll just drop him a year from now. I don't think it's right, but I just don't see a way around it because I think they're going to have to take so many 2023 and 2024 kids to be able to win a national championship in 2025 and 2026. Gary, you can shake your all you want. Look at the freaking numbers on the website.
Henry Parrish isn't getting dropped. Cody Brown might.
Whoever. They need more than that. They have
Thad Franklin better get his act together.
You know how many spots? Let's take a look, Gary. This is a fact, okay? I think they have 2 spots left in this year's class. Notwithstanding that, they're going to fill those 2 and replace them with a lot more younger kids. They're going to drop players after this spring, before this spring. I don't know when. But regardless when that happens, if they don't fill them with 1-year graduate seniors, okay, you ready for this? Here's how many spots they have available with graduating seniors. They have 7 graduating seniors. After this year, they're going to be at 85. That's 7 spots for a class of 25 and the class of 2023. Are you kidding me? You got to drop 18 kids. You've got to take 25 kids, and now you can take 7 free transfers. That's 32. You got to drop 25 kids next year. You got to drop 25 kids off this roster to fill up to the maximum the 2023 class. Are you kidding me? That's what I'm talking about. That's why I'm saying don't bring in kids right now for a 1-year fix. You don't need them. Just
save. It won't be 25, but I guarantee you by the summer that at least a dozen kids that are in the program right now are no longer in the program. That would be my opinion.
Well, that would be fine, but then you still got to drop 12 more before next year. It's crazy. That's why I'm saying 1-year fix. Bring in the senior guys, the graduate seniors. Don't waste your time on the sophomores who are so guys. Not that Henry Parrish is, but we're gonna have an analysis of him in the next couple of days, okay? And we can look closer at his Pro Football Focus numbers. I've done the research already. He's good. He's similar to Jalen Knighton. Jalen Knighton's really good. Are they nationally elite top guys? We'll be comparing them to the Syracuse running back, and they're not near that level. So I want that guy. That's all I've been saying. And yeah, it could be negative. You could say that's negative. Why am I so negative against Henry Parrish? But I'm positive about the future. I want Miami to win national championships. That's called being positive, I think.
And that's why they went and got Henry Parrish. Because Henry
Parrish is a 1-year fix.
They think
if they get Mark Fletcher, Henry Parrish is a backup for the next 2 years after this.
You don't know that. And that's a guess on your part. And
the other guess on my part, I'm being a fan now, not being a reporter.
And the other thing I'm going to throw out there is obviously by bringing in Henry Parrish, that when they did their evaluation of the roster, they felt like they needed another running back, that they don't know if Don Chaney's going to stay healthy. They don't know what Thad Franklin is going to look like this year, and they don't know what Cody Brown's going to look like. So, they want a proven commodity. They're trying to win, period. Mario Cristobal didn't come here and say, oh, geez, I got my 10-year contract. I've got a honeymoon period. I'm not going to win in 2022. Absolutely not. They're going to go into 2022 thinking we want to win the ACC this year. And, obviously we'll see what happens, but that's going to be the approach every minute of every day. And I think it was good that they brought in Henry Parrish because I think every position on the team can stand to be fortified. I don't think that any of them is perfect at this point. All right, Matt, another thing I want to touch on before we go here is the Miami basketball team has a big game tonight at home against North Carolina. If you can get out there, do it. This is obviously a great opportunity against the high-profile ACC team, and the team is rested up. They've had about a week off, and they didn't have to play this past weekend. And Matt, they should be sitting and ready to take on the Tar Heels tonight. A season-shaping game for Miami.
Okay, but every time we talk about basketball, fans complain. So I'm going to talk about stone crabs, okay? Jack Pyburn last night was on the website talking about stone crabs, and you want to talk about the basketball team? Are you kidding me? By the way, guess what? Jack Pyburn told me when I talked to him, he just left Miami, and he says, I'm on my way to go get stone crab dinner. He says, I love stone crabs. We're going to get a stone crab dinner. I didn't mention stone crabs. I said, where are you going? He says, I'm going to Monty's. I said, I don't love Monty's. I live right there. I don't love it, but whatever.
Probably could have recommended a few better options.
I said, I'm actually a stone crab fisherman. He says, what? He was more excited about me stone crabbing than the Auburn visit.
That we would do an NIL deal?
Than the Auburn visit. He was more excited than the Auburn visit. And I sent him a picture.
Did you tell him we'd do an NIL deal with him after he comes to Miami, like John Ruiz, as opposed to now? And that part of the deal would be that he goes stone crab fishing.
I'll show you. I sent him the picture, and he responded. I'll show you what. Here it is. I don't want to show you his number. How do I show you this without his? I'll try to block his number here. Oops. I sent him that, and I said, "Tell Monty's you want this size claw."
All right, put it. We get the idea. It's you mugging with the stone crabs.
And then he responded by putting a heart over my image. He loved my image, Gary. He loved my image. You don't love my images. You think I'm mauling the crabs. Jack Pyburn disagrees with you. Jack Pyburn loves stone crab claws. He doesn't want to hear about it from you anymore, Gary, okay? And that's what he's going to win tonight.
If he comes to Miami, I hope I'm not breaking any rules saying this. Maybe we'll do an NIL deal with him for a day to go stone crab fishing with you, and we'll film the experience or something. It could be fun.
Yeah.
All right, but basketball has a big game. We want you. You're right. We don't need to get assaulted on the YouTube comments for talking about basketball. I don't know why. It's a fun team. They're in first place in the ACC. Some people do like basketball, and they do play North Carolina.
And they're excited. Listen, they're an exciting, fun team. I've always been a Jim Larrañaga fan as a person. I like that guy. He's just a nice guy. He's a great coach. I think he's a great coach. Maybe he doesn't get the 4- and 5-star talent, but when you're 7-7 against Duke in the last 14 games, you don't need those 5 stars every year, I guess.
Well, and we'll leave it at that and just say it's a huge game tonight. They're rested, should be ready to go, and we'll talk more about basketball for a little bit as the week goes on, especially if they win tonight at home. All right, well, that's going to do it for today for Good Morning CaneSport. For the feisty Matt Shodell, I'm Gary Ferman. We thank you as always for joining us, and have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow, everybody.